Does not look like I have come live. Do you see me? Good morning. Anyone see me? I'm not showing up on mine. Oh, let me go out and come back in. Oh, there I am. I think I am live. Does anyone see me? Oh my goodness. I think I am live. Oh, good. Thank you, Becky. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't see me on my iPad. I always check to make sure that I am live, and I didn't see me. But once I refreshed, I did. What a crazy start to the morning, huh? All right. I am happy to be with you this morning. Today is a creative challenge day. So I will be doing two cards with the same fun fold. And then I will be posting a picture of those on Facebook after my live. And if you make a card with that fun fold and you post a picture of it on that Facebook post, you will get entered into a drawing that I will have next week where you can pick the bundle of your choice. So I was going to this week feature some of the new upcoming online exclusives, but I decided to wait for that until next week Saturday because they don't go live until that week after. And if you win one of the bundle of your choice, you can pick one of those, and I'll just wait to order it till they go live on March 4th is when they go live. It's a Tuesday. So oh, goodness gracious. Okay, everybody is seeing me now. So I can say hello to Joan and Julie and Mary and Lisa and Myra and Dee and Kelly and Becky. Becky, thanks for saying, all of you saying you see me, and Renee. And I think that's it. I think I have everyone that said something. Blah, blah, blah. I think I do. Let me share with you some of my happy mail. First of all, those of you that received prizes because of President's Day on Monday, there was no mail, so it didn't go out. So I pulled it from my mailbox and I had all the intentions of getting to the post office on Tuesday, but that didn't happen. I got there on Thursday morning. So if you had something coming either last week or this week, it is on its way. I know Lisa's on here and you won something. And I think, I don't remember who else I sent all the stuff out to. I think Denise had something coming to her. And I think there was, I don't even remember all the names, but they did all go out. So, wanted to share with you last week I received this from one of my customers who came to my card buffet, and I completely forgot to grab it and bring it in here when I was doing my make and takes. I did during the week sneak some of the chocolates out of here, but there are still some. I didn't eat all of them. But isn't that a cute little box? And then look at the back of it, also has a little heart. So this was from Tammy Marquardt. So Tammy, thank you so much. Then I received this Valentine's Day card from Mary, it says. Um, and it says, thank you for the adhesive backed heart sequence. And she looks forward to my videos. So thank you so much for that. Beautiful card. I love this paper. I love the little bees. They're so cute. And then I received this from Donna. I see Donna on here. I think she just said good morning. Good morning, Donna, Betty, and Anne. Look at this cute little seagull. And she had a little note. Thank you for all your inspiration and dedication to us. And it was just such a sweet note that she put on the inside. And this was, I'm sorry, I dropped it and I didn't want to step on it and ruin it. So this beautiful card. All right. Then I also received this card. Look at how pretty that is with that paper that you can get for celebration. Just one more week, you guys. Next Friday is the last day that you can get celebration. And this is from Marsha. And she was saying, thank me for all I do and for the prizes. So there you go. Beautiful cards. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's get some prizes. I also have another board that is filled that we will be picking for somebody to get a $25 shopping spree. And then I do have another board. I have to reach out to some people to get their numbers on them, but it's going to be about half full. So we have one more week. So if you place an order, remember to get on my celebration board. For every $60 that you spend, you get a square on my board. When the board is full or when celebration is over, I will be picking a number and we'll be picking that live today. Whoever's name is on that square gets to pick $25 of their choice from any catalog that's live. So it looks like a bunch of people jumped on. Angelique and Diane and Mary and Lisa. Lisa, I said hello to, I think, already. And Dee. Um, and let's see who else. I don't think I said hello to all those people before. And Nancy and Cheryl. Goodness gracious. Marsha's on here. I loved your card, Marsha. And Debbie and Holly, Diane. Thank you guys all for joining me. All right. Prizes, prizes, prizes. So last week we made this, we started with this card using that unique stamp set, that tile technique. And what a fun way to use that to make just a very unique looking card, very simple to make. You just stamp all of those little tile pieces to make that look like that. And then our fun fold was this overlapping. So that pulled out like that. And this bottom piece just overlapped. It kind of tucks inside of there to hold it in place. And then you pull it out. So receiving these for commenting last week is Nancy Hippis. So Nancy, I'll either get these in the mail to you. I'll check to see if my mom is going to be seeing you. They're leaving for Florida next Friday. So if she's not going to be seeing you before then, I will for sure get them in the mail to you. And then for sharing. So anytime you share, so make sure that you write down after you write down your after you've shared somewhere, make sure you type in there. I was reading a comment from Renee that said that she ordered that stamp set after seeing my card. Well, I'm glad that you liked the card enough to get the stamp set. um, so right now, like Sonia just said that she liked and shared, so anytime you share, I take all of those names, assign you all a number, and I do a drawing to win prizes as well. And receiving a pack of these low profile dots, these are my favorite. I've been putting them on everything because they don't cost extra to mail because they are so flat. This is going to Sarah Mitchell. I'm not sure, Sarah, if I have your address. I will check. If you're watching this and you know for sure you've never received anything from me, make sure that you send me an email. I create with Sarah LLC at Gmail, and Sarah has an H at the end, or you can private message me in Facebook. And we've got a couple of other people who've jumped onto Facebook. It looks like we've got Brooke and Karen, Sandy. Good morning. And then for placing an order. So anytime you place an order, I haven't been using a host code. I thought that they were done March 15th, but it's actually April 15th. So I do have a whole nother, like almost 2 months, but I didn't even pick one. But if you go to my store, you can find my store. There's a link on Facebook. Receiving this Faith Collection stamp set for placing an order this last week is Mary Ellen Julian. So Mary Ellen, I will get this off in the mail to you, and I'll double check to make sure you didn't order that. So I will look at your order that you placed and make sure that you didn't order that. Good morning, Tammy. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that number. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Let's shuffle. We'll shuffle them again, shuffle them a bunch of times, and then we will spin. And we'll look to see what number pops up, and we will see who has that on our square. Okay, the number 14 popped up. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'm going to come back and stop sharing my screen, and we'll make me big again. Actually, let's do this. Let's make this big so we can take a look. And the winner at number 14 is Kathy Kessler. Kathy, congratulations. You will be getting a $25 shopping spree. You didn't even pick that. It was one of the numbers that was left, and I gave it to you. So, congratulations. It's always the luck of the draw. So I will reach out to you to see what you would like for $25, and I will get that ordered for you. All right, let me go ahead and turn my overhead light off, and then we're going to get to stamping. All right, that should take care of some of those shadows that you're seeing. Let me go ahead and bring my stamp sets and my paper in here that we're going to be using. I decided after last week, when I did this card, one of the colors that I used was wild wheat. And I'm like, oh, darn, you know what? In like about a month's time, some of these colors are going to be retiring. And once the retirement list comes out, they usually go really fast. So I'm going to try to each week for the next, well, last week was wild wheat. Today we're going to be doing pebble path. I'm going to feature the colors that are going to be retiring. So if it's something that you like, it would be something that you could hopefully get before they are no longer available. So the stamp set we're using for this one is Darling Dinos. I've used this for my card buffet, but I haven't used it in a card for a live. So I decided, let's do a kids card today, or it could probably be a masculine card as well, I guess. But I thought this would be a fun card to use for the technique that we're using. We're also using some of the plaid paper that comes with that Storybook Garden suite of products. And so these kind of go really well together. All right, so I'm gonna get some of this out of here. I'm gonna go away from your comments a little bit so I can get my banners. I feel like I'm a little disorganized today because I had to design one of the cards this morning and nothing was really coming to me. Then it finally, excuse me, kind of finally just came together. So let's see here. We have our pebble path is going to be our card base. All right, so this measures 8.5 by 5.5, and you're going to score at 2 and 3 1/8 inch from each end. Okay, so I scored it from this end right here, and then I turned it over and I scored it on this end as well. Now, how this is going to fold, this is basically the fun fold. I did a super easy one for you ladies, and you've probably seen this before because I know I've done it before. This is going to fold in, and that's going to fold back. Okay, and then this is going to fold in, and then that's going to fold back. So it's going to go flat in your envelope like this, and then it can pop up and stand up. So if you haven't seen this one before, I know I've done it before. I've got a little bit of a, let's see if I can get rid of that. There we go. That looks better. All right, so we are going to go ahead and decorate this. So like I said, I was going to use the plaid, and Pebble Path was in there. So that's why I decided, let's go with Pebble Path this week as the color that I'm going to feature. So you need 2 pieces of whatever you want to use. Now, it can be designer paper. It could also be, you're going to see, sometimes I used cardstock and I embossed it. You can use cardstock and stamp on it. It's entirely up to you. Hi, Aunt Mary, and hi, Mary Stamps. All right, these 2 pieces measure 1 3/4 inch by 5 1/4. Okay, so I did the same on both sides to kind of balance it. I don't know how it would look. For both of mine, I used the same. So I don't know how it would look if you did something different on each one. Then for the little piece that's right inside of here, I decided to take some basic beige. I love this basic beige color. I'm using it more than I'm using the very vanilla. And this measures 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/4. And you're going to see I did something different in my second card, so you can see how you can switch some of these layers up. And I ran it through our Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. I kind of thought it went along with the plaids a little bit. And instead of putting it on the embossed side, I decided I kind of liked it on the debossed side because I thought it kind of looked better with the little dinosaur with the rocks that I was using and the little spots and stuff that were on the dinosaur. So I used the debossed side for this one. All right, then in the center, I took the other side of this paper, which is just kind of like a different, like a checker instead of the plaid. And this measures 2 by 5 1/4, and that fits in the center part. All right, then what you need after you figure out what you're going to put on all of the panels is you need a focal point. So I started with this. I started with a circle. And I think I might be frozen. There we go. I started with a circle, and then I decided, no, I don't really like the circle as I was trying to figure out what to do with it in the center. So I looked at what I wanted to stamp, and I kind of measured to see what I needed. And for the piece that I wanted to stamp, I needed about 2 5/8 by 3 3/8. So the piece that I layered it with was just 1/8 of an inch bigger, and that was 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. Okay, so I just figured out, I thought that looked better with the square for what I was going to be stamping. But you could do circles, you could do those new arches. I also looked at our nested frames, and I looked at putting one of those in there. You could decide whatever you want to put on the front to decorate it. I just chose to do this. And then I also have another piece that's 2 by 5 1/4. And this is where you're going to be able to do your writing. And that's going to go right on the back. And that's where you're going to put your greeting for the person. Okay, let me hide this. Let me go back to the comments. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Nancy. I don't know if you were on, Nancy, but you won. You won one of them. Hi, Lisa. Thank you guys for joining me. So let's take a scrap of our basic beige. Let's take this backside piece and let's take our front piece and let's go ahead and do some stamping on these. So on our front piece that we're going to have, there's a couple of things that we're going to stamp. I'm going to use Pebbled Path for all of my ink. And I am going to stamp the Hope Your Birthday's Dynamite along the bottom. Okay, that's just going to go down there. And I probably stamped that a little bit lower. I'm going to raise that up just a little. There we go. I like that just a little bit better. Then it had these little rocks. And so I started by just stamping one of them. I'm like, no, I want a pile of rocks. So what I did was, you can use our masking tape, but I couldn't find my masking tape. When I cleaned this fall, I put it somewhere. Not sure what I put it with. I looked at my adhesive sheets because I thought that's where I'd put it, but it wasn't there. So I think, I don't know. I have to go through all my stuff and see if I can find it. But what I did was I just took a Post-it note and I stamped this twice. And normally when I fussy cut something out, I leave a little bit of an edge on it. But for this, you actually really want to cut right on that line because otherwise it's going to leave a little bit of a blank spot. I'm going to kind of layer these, and it looks better if you cut all the way up to the edge. And mostly it's going to be along the bottom and the sides that I need. So you almost don't want any of the lines of this showing so that you don't have white space in between. Okay, so what I did was I ended up starting with, I started over here because I thought I started over here because my dinosaur is going to face that way. And I thought I'll just put one by his foot. And then I'm like, well, that looks kind of weird. So what I did was I stamped one and then I put my little mask on there. I covered it up so I don't stamp over the top of it again. And then I came over here and I stamped another one. So I want to pull this out so you can see. See what I mean by it doesn't, it overlaps, but it doesn't stamp over the top of it. So now I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to put this one on, and we're going to stamp behind it. So see how I'm building just kind of like a little wall of stones, a stone wall. Hi, Robin. Hi, Kathy. Kathy, you won too. You'll have to back it up if you jumped on late because you won the um my celebration squares. All right, so that's gonna go there. I'm actually gonna put this one there. I'm gonna put this one on top of it, and we're gonna stamp another one behind. Okay, and then I'm gonna leave that one on. We're gonna put this here. We'll stamp one here, and I'll stamp one back here. And I think I've got enough rocks. Okay, so see how it just makes a little pile of rocks. All right. So then I'm also going to use a scrap of basic beige, and I'm going to stamp one of the dinosaurs. I thought this guy was so cute. Okay, so I've got him. There are dies to cut him out, and through the magic of TV, I have that cut out already so that we could just use him. All right, and then on the back, I'm going to stamp a few rocks along the bottom. And you can put these back in your stamp case. So if you ever want to use this stamp set again and you want to use that technique, you can just use that over and over again. So I put the little rocks, and then I'm going to use Roar Means. Now this is set so that you could put whatever you want. You could put happy birthday. You could put we're going to use I love you. You can also put like a strip in there, make it a different color, but all of our colors so far has been this color. Oh gosh, that's terrible. I have to stand up. Let's see here. Roar Means I love you. There we go. And let's put our rocks back down on the bottom. Sorry about that. I need to stand up and look over the top of my camera. It's too hard if I don't do that. All right, so there's our little rocks. So we've got all of our stamping done. And I'm going to throw these away. I'm going to not throw these away. I'm going to put these away. Sometimes I should throw some things away in my office, but not stamps. We're going to keep those. All right, I'm going to take the little dinosaur, and we're just going to add a little bit of coloring into him. I'm also going to take my rocks and add just a little bit to those as well. So I'm going to take my light crumb cake. That's what this is. I'm going to take the pointed end, and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of color by going over the lines that are already on those rocks. I'm not coloring them all in, but it's just giving a little bit different color to them. I don't know if it adds anything, but I did it. I made this last night after my card buffet. So for those of you that said, well, I thought you had a card buffet last weekend, because we were having snow, and I'm going to color his little belly with this as well, because they were forecasting all this snow and these ladies drive from all over the place. I said, if you don't feel comfortable coming out and you'd rather come next Friday, I'll add another date of next Friday. So I had ladies here last night, 3 of them finishing up my card buffet for the month. Okay, this is the dark crumb cake, and I'm going to do all of the little pokey things with that, because there is crumb cake in that plaid. I'm going to do his little toenails or her. I'll pull this up closer to the camera once I have it done so you can see that. And then I have the light pebble path, and I'm going to do the little spots in that. Now this is where you could add some color if you wanted to add some color. I decided to just keep it very, very boyish or very masculine by using some kind of like muted colors and stuff. All right, so that is that piece, and that's just going to go right on there for us. It's coming together. All right, now let's go ahead and put this together. This first one is very simple. There isn't a whole lot to it. The whole fold, actually, the second one isn't difficult either. Just depends on how much coloring you want to do with the things that you add to it. It can also be something that you make very quickly, and just use the paper and some stamps to do that. So let's go ahead and add this to our layer here. Okay, and then we're going to put our plaid side up. And I just want to try to keep an even border around all of the sides. I should have grabbed my dino cards that I got in my swaps and shared them. Oh my gosh, Kathy Miller made one that was just so darn cute. It was a fun fold. Um, I don't know. I'll show it to you next week because I would have to go looking through all of my swaps, and you ladies know how many swaps I get. So I'm not exactly sure which container it's in. All right, so that's going to go there. And then, like I said, I wanted to put the debossed side up, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use some liquid glue for this instead of, come on. So this card I made last night after the ladies left. So I had one card done. This week at school, we had our family STEM night, which was Wednesday night. And we had all this equipment that I had to haul over from our elementary campuses to our middle school campuses. So Wednesday, I basically went to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I went to pick up Lila at my mom and dad's because they picked her up so that she wasn't at home alone until I got home. And I picked her up at about a little after 8. So then I got home about, it was almost 8:30. So it was a long day on Wednesday. Thursday, I was exhausted trying to catch up on some things. And so this didn't get done until last night. So I had the thought in mind. I knew which fold I was gonna do. That I already had. So it was just a matter of putting together how I was gonna use the fold. All right, so that's how it's going to go in our envelope. And then I'm going to put this flat on this card, and I'm going to raise my little dinosaur up. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some tape through the center. I'm going to set this down. Whoops. I want to center it before I push it down. Just kind of looking to see if I have about the same amount on each side. I have it straight. So that'll stand up like that to display it. And we'll throw some dimensionals on the back of here. And to be perfectly honest with you, the way that I decided to use all of the in colors was when I was looking for some gems. For one of the cards that I was doing, I used them last week, I think. Yeah. Nope, I used butterflies last week. But I used these on one of the cards, and I'm like, okay, these are the 2023 to 2025 in color gems that we had. And I'm like, oh, those are those are going to be out pretty soon. So let's go ahead and feature them. And so all I did was, I wanted this to be pretty masculine. So all I did was add a little gem right here. And I added one, let's see here, right there. Okay, and that is our finished card, and I can sign it in the back, and it can stand up and be displayed, but yet it folds in like this so that it fits inside of our envelope, just like that. So that is the fold. Uh, oh, Renee loves the dinosaurs too. Yeah, I think dinosaurs are just absolutely, these dinosaurs are so cute. Now, I thought about putting a balloon in here. I thought about putting a birthday hat on him. I thought about putting a little bow tie because there's all these little elements that are in here. There's a top hat, a birthday hat, a balloon, there's a flower, there's the little heart. So if you wanted to make Valentine's things, there's little grass if you didn't want to do the little rocks. So there's a lot of different elements that you could add. I thought about using these things that look like they're, I don't know if those are supposed to be footprints or what those are supposed to be. But I thought about using that as like a little background on here, but then I decided to do the embossing instead. So there's a lot of different ways that you could change this card up. You could make it for more feminine by using some pinks or reds or whatever. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to grab a piece of that designer paper so we have something for the outside of our envelope. So let me grab another piece of that. And let me grab my paper trimmer. So when you do the envelope and you want to use some of the designer paper, this was 6x6 paper. So when I cut this, I cut it at 5 1/4, and then I was able to do 1 3/4, 1 3/4, and 2, all from one sheet of this. So I didn't need more than one sheet. If you're going to go ahead and add it to the envelope, I do about 2 1/4 is where I cut it by 6. And let me put this back. I am doing a little bonus. I told you last week that I would show you how to make the little box. That was my little gift to everyone who bought my last kit. And so I am going to be making that little box today and giving you all the dimensions so that you will have that. So that'll be my third project today. I will be doing one more of these cards, this fold, so that you have 2 examples. And then I'll do the box as well. I do not have, I hope to have it by the end of the day today. My goal was to have it by last Monday. So I'm really, really far behind. But sleep has been important to me because last week I realized I did not have enough sleep. And honestly, when I got done with my live last week, I think it was like about 1:30, 1:45. I finished watching the Badger game because that was at the end and it was an upset win against Purdue. And then I fell asleep in my chair and I think I napped for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then I went to bed early and I was really, really wiped out. I can't get that bad that I have to take a nap for that long. All right, so there is our card number 1. All right, let me pull the supplies in here. Here was my sample that I made last night. Okay, let me pull the supplies in here for our next card, which is going to be another card using this fold. So you'll have 2 different examples. I was going to try to do this one rounded, like have something round or something else. So that's why I showed you this. But as it turned out, as I was working on this, the square worked, rectangle worked better, and you'll see why when I get there. So let me just remind you of the dimensions again. So let me go to my banners real quick. So the card base again for this one is 8.5 by 5.5. And on the 8.5 inch side, I scored it at 2 3 1/8 from each end. So this is at 2 inches, 3 1/8, and then I just flipped it over and did the same thing, 2 3 1/8 to get my card base. All right, I'm using some of our that mixed media floral. Look at that paper. Oh, is that not pretty? Look at how that pops on that black. I was going to use basic white, and then I'm like, nope, we're going to use black because the ink we're going to use is black on here. And so I think that will just pop on there. And I was right. It did. I loved it. So these pieces measure 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. So you need two of them. And then instead of embossing my next layer, I found a color that was in there, which was Daffodil Delight. And this is from our Bokeh. It has like those little white circles, the butterfly paper. All right. And these pieces each are 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/4. And then for my centerpiece, that's the one that I decided to emboss. That is 2 by 5 1/4. And I took the emboss. Oh, I didn't measure this right. I got to cut this. This should be 2 by 5 1/4. This looks like it's 5 3/4. So I will cut that down to the right size. But that's what I decided to do. I thought that the embossing folder matched with the DSP here, and that this was just a little bit lighter and kind of brought the three pieces together. So let me get my paper trimmer here and cut this down to 5 1/4. So as I was planning, and the reason I'm showing you all of this is I had so many different combinations of things when I was doing this. You know, I had these embossed. I was trying to do something else in the center. I didn't know what to do. So I just kind of laid the piece out. I tried some different things. And then I finally got to this and I was like, I like that. I mean, you don't really see this part when it pulls out. It's there, but you don't technically see it. And then this is going to be our backside. It's just going to be a basic white. All right. Then I looked at the size that I needed, and the way I figured out the size that I needed for my rectangle is I really wanted to use this spring corners, and I wanted to use it with the mixed floral with the little tulips because I love those tulips. And I did a card in my card buffet where we used Daffodil Delight and we used Calypso Coral. The Calypso Coral was for the tulips, and the other little flowers we did in yellow. And I thought with these colors, I could use that same color combination to color this in. So I wanted to use Wishing You an Amazing Day because I wanted to make this a birthday card. Let me get rid of that. And so when I put this on the block and I put it along the side, I figured out how long I had to have it. Okay. And then I looked to see about how wide I felt it had to be so that I wanted it a little bit wider than this. I didn't want it narrower than that. So what I came upon for this particular card was that the white piece that I was going to use was 3 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So that fit perfectly with the Wishing You an Amazing Day along the side. And then I'm going to stamp those tulips kind of on an angle. I won't have the whole stamp on it, but kind of like an angle in the middle to fill out the middle part of it. All right. So that meant if I wanted to go 1/8 of an inch more with my um, background here, this ended up being 3 1/8 by 3 7/8. So both of my inside panels, they're a little bit different. They fit what I was using at the time. And so that's why I went just a tad bit different. So like I said, you can you can make any shape you want. Like I said, if you wanted a circle in there, if you wanted to put any sort of design in there, you can. All right, so let's take our 2 pieces of white. Let's get our stamping done. So for the outside, like I mentioned, so this says white, but this is actually Memento. I ordered a white craft ink pad, and it doesn't come ink, it comes plain. And so what I did was I took our Memento re-inker and loaded it up with that. And I just feel I get a better stamp with it than I did. Hi, Kay. Hi, Linda and Kay. um, and so I'm going to go ahead. Actually, for this, I really like putting my ink pad to my text. I don't get as much ink all over my block that way, because when I put it in my block, it seemed like I had ink everywhere. So I'm going to look to make sure the top of this H is on the paper and the top of the D is on the paper. And I'm going to go into the corner as far as I can so that the D and the H can be seen. Ooh, I did a pretty good job. I have two of them here just in case I mess that up. All right. On the inside, I'm just going to put a happy birthday. And to fill this space in here, rather than using one of those, I think if you saw my lives that I did between Christmas and New Year when the new stuff was just coming out, I used something like this and I used the little dies in the corner. Instead of the dies, I decided just to take this tulip image, kind of put it on the side like this, and fill the space with that. Doesn't that look cool? I loved it. And then I'm going to just take, actually, I just need this little tulip that's kind of in the corner here. And I'm just going to stamp that just to add a little bit to the inside as well. All right, so I don't need any dies on this. If you didn't have an embossing folder, this could really be a stamp, ink, and paper, because I didn't, oh no, my glue's, oh no, it's still there, good. I'm not using the dies for this. I'm just doing the stamping, and now we're going to do some coloring. So for these little flowers, like I said, I used yellow, and I just kind of took my dark Daffodil Delight, and I added a little bit of color along one side with the dark, just to add a little bit of shading to it. And you didn't even have to really do all of them. You could do some of them. You could also do some of them in light, some of them in dark, so that you have a mix of different colors for the whole flower. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that. I don't know why I did that, but I just added a little bit of dark, and then I came in with the light and just kind of blended that in and made the rest of it light. You can hardly tell that there's a difference between the two, but if you look closely, there is. The tulips are another story. Those I used 3 colors to color them. Okay, so for these 3 tulips, I wanted them all to be the Calypso Coral. So I have the dark Calypso Coral, I have the light Calypso Coral, and then I used a light petal pink is going to be sort of my blending of all of the flowers. Okay, so everybody does their blending a little bit different. I start with my darkest color and I work my way to my lightest color. Some people color everything with the light color and then they add the other colors. It depends on, I guess, how you learned and how it works for you. For big images like this where I'm trying to blend, the bigger end works just a little bit better for blending purposes. And I'm just going to start at the bottom and I'm going to add a little bit of this dark Calypso Coral. And then I'm going to take some of the lines that our artist put in and I'm going to color it. I'm going to do each tulip one at a time. While it's wet, it blends a little bit better. And again, I'm going to take the blending brush and I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to work that ink up so that they blend together, so that the lines are not as pronounced and that ink is kind of blending in. And then I'm going to end with the light petal pink, and that I'm going to kind of circle around. And again, I want to make those lines that I had up there be not as pronounced and blend it a little bit more so that you can see the 3 colors, but they're all kind of blended together rather than being like, this is down here and then this is here and then that color's up at the top. I'm going to do that for each of the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead, make my darker stuff is going to be at the base. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of dark in there where it folds. And then I'm going to take the next shade and I'm going to bring that up to blend it so that my lines are not as pronounced. Okay, and then my last color is my lightest one, and that's where I'm going to circle and try to get rid of that line that's right there from where the lighter one is, and kind of blend that all together. And like I said, it does work best if it's still a little bit wet when you're doing that. Okay, so there's the second one, and now I'm going to do that last one basically the same way. Bring my next color in. Try to get rid of those lines. And then the last color. I hope that helps, because I know when ladies were here doing this, how did you do that? I always start with my dark, and not everybody does. Some people start, like I said, with the light, but that's how I've always done it. So now I'm going to do the leaves and the stems the same way. So I'm going to start with the dark. This is Granny Apple Green. I just want to make sure I have the dark. I do. All right, and I'm going to start with the stems first, because I'm going to do those all in dark. I'm not going to mess around. And I think it was Karen. I think Karen's on here, and she said last week, she goes, oh my gosh, sometimes it's hard to see where the stems are and where the leaves are. So you kind of got to stand back a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with where the lines are that the artist gave us with my dark. I think that is a line as well. It's hard to tell because I don't have all of it. And then I'm gonna just add a little bit more of the dark down on the bottom, maybe along the side a little bit at the tip there. And then I'm gonna bring my light in. Now you could do each one of these separate again. I found that this worked okay too. And it's okay if you have a little bit of a line showing in the leaves, because those lines are there as part of the artist stuff, the artist rendering, and it looked okay. And we'll add this up here. I'm from Little Chute, and my grandma and grandpa came from Holland. And so tulips are pretty special this time of the year for those of us that have Dutch heritage. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. And now to just add a little bit of sparkle, we're going to take our Wink of Stella. And our Wink of Stella also does some blending for us as well. But this is just going to give this a whole bunch of sparkle and shine and glimmer as well. I have a newer Wink of Stella here, and oh my goodness, I can see it. I'll hold it up and see if I can move it enough for you to see some of the glitter that's on there, but I don't know if you can see that shine and that glimmer. Maybe a little bit when I went like that. Okay, so that is our tulips. Oh, and you know what? We're going to do this one over here. Let's add a little bit to this as well. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. We just have one tulip here, so this shouldn't take us too long. Colored in with the lighter stuff. All right, and we got one more tulip to do here. Sorry, I completely forgot. Should have done it when I was doing all the rest of them. And we'll start from the bottom and bring that color up. And then blend it all together. And then we've got our stem. few little bit of our leaves here. There we go. All right, we are ready to put this card together. All right, let's go ahead and layer this right away. Yeah, Nancy, I love these stamps. I love the other one as well that's in this set. But this was, like I said, tulips are kind of, oh, love them, love them, love them. And let's go ahead and fold this before, set that up there. So again, I'm going to fold this so that this kind of, the center part sticks out, and then the other two fold the opposite way. Okay, so that you have a little fold that looks like that. Here's my bone folder. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the back right away. Once I did all that coloring, the rest of it goes together pretty fast. Right now, it's just a matter of putting it together. All right. We'll put that there. Look at the back of that. You could add some color to that. Pretty paper. I love black and white, but I also like really bright colors. So I opted for the really bright colors for this one because to me, tulips are bright and cheery. I started with some pinks and I thought, well, maybe I'll do something different, but I kept coming back to the Calypso Coral. I think it's so pretty. The Calypso Coral and the yellow together in this paper is just so, so darn pretty. Even though it's just like a little, kind of like a plastery look, it still is gorgeous. Definitely thinking spring when you think of this card, right? And there we go. There's our centerpiece. This stamp set, Betty, is an online exclusive. It's called Mixed Media, Mixed, is it Mixed Floral? Mixed Media Floral. The paper has the word media in. Here it is. Just Mixed Florals. So this is all it is it's two big stamp sets, and it's got like a little greenery. I could have used this in the bottom. It's got a couple, three ladybugs, and then it has, and I do have the dies in here. One of the dies I have out because we used it for a card, but it has dies to cut all of those out as well. This die I have out because we used it. It has dies. It has two of each for the ladybugs if you want to cut those out. Yeah, it's beautiful. And then it has a stamp set that has greetings and labels that go with it as well if you're interested in that. And then this paper is part of the paper from that suite as well. Okay, now since I put the back on, I got to make sure I have it the right way. I don't want to put this on upside down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw some dimensionals. Since I don't have anything else raised up on this, I'm going to go ahead and raise this up. And then I had some of this one left here. I'm just going to grab like a strip of these and I'm going to run them right along the side here so that my label goes right out, or my adhesive, my dimensionals go right out to the side. That way I know that I'm not going to have them too far and they're going to be hanging off the edge. Pull these off. Before I put this down, I'm going to make sure I still have it the right way. Can you tell I put cards together wrong? Yes, this embossing folder is one of my favorites too, Diane. And it comes with this suite of products as well. So I'm trying to make sure that I have an equal amount on either side and setting that down on there. What? Okay. Then I wanted to jazz this up a little bit. So I took some of my glue, my green glue, and I made some little dots. And I have our little bees here. And, my take your pick tools, I brought them all to school on Wednesday because we had this conductive tape that we needed to use for a little circuit activity. And nobody could figure out how to use my take your pick tools, so they didn't use them anyway. But they're all in a box that has to be unpacked yet. So I don't have my take your pick tool sitting here. But I'm just going to add a couple of these little bees. And all I did, like I said, was I put a bunch of these dots, I let them dry, and I made my own glue dots. They're tinier than the mini glue dots. Excuse me. And so with them being tinier than the mini glue dots, they fit these little bees perfectly because the bees are really, really tiny. But aren't those cute on there? I think I might do one more. I like to do things in threes. Two might be enough in this case. One might even be enough, but I've got enough of these, I might as well throw them in here. Okay, so there's that. And then if you wanted to, I love our black and white gingham ribbon. And since we have that black in the background, I just took and tied a tiny bow. I didn't want anything really big. You could also use some linen thread, or we've got in our essential baker's twine, there's a black. So you could use just the little black baker's twine if you didn't want to have something this big. But I think this um, ribbon is so easy to tie bows with. I use it in a lot of things because it's like I don't even need a bow maker for it because it's so easy. But just kind of down here in the corner with a little glue dot. Maybe we're going overboard. If you don't like the ribbon, you can take the ribbon off. But I thought it looked kind of nice just to add a little bit of something to it since we don't have a lot going on in this card. I mean, there's a beautiful coloring and stuff, but I just thought that little bit of black and the white kind of added something. So there is our finished card. Whoops, I have it up too high. So wishing you an amazing day, and then the happy birthday on the outside, and they can just display this for as long as they want because it just stands up all by itself. So I just loved um, oh, the plaster paint embossing folder is on back order. Thanks for letting me know that, Donna. I haven't really kept up with everything that's been on back order. And even with the last chance, I know a whole bunch of stuff got reduced. If any of you had been like holding off on getting those greetings of the seasons, those dies, those tag dies, those are marked down right now. I think they were left yet. I'm not positive on that. But when I saw those, first of all, when I saw that they were last chance, I'm like, no, those are my favorites. But that means they're going to come out with something new, right? And then we have our envelope. You know what? I didn't plan on anything for the envelope. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm not going to do it and make you have to sit and watch me color these again, but I think I'm going to stamp just like I did on the inside here, just a little bit of that in the corner of this envelope. I think that would be really pretty. And then that fits right inside of your envelope there. Now, if you're going to be handing, let's say you're going to go out to lunch. When I meet with my girlfriends and we meet for each other's birthday, we go out to lunch and we give our cards and gifts and stuff in person. So I would put the bow on for that. If I was sending this in the mail to someone, I probably wouldn't put the bow on because it's going to cost me more, right? Then I might use like the baker's twine, the black baker's twine or something. It kind of depends on how you're going to be giving the gift as well. But whoever's going to be getting this next week and wins this, I will have this decorated for you as well. Okay, that is our second card. So that is our creative challenge. Make a card using this layout. It's super easy, ladies. You don't have to do anything super fancy. If you want to, you can. You can make it fancier if you want. But you can make it just really simple using the designer paper. And again, these stand up like this on their own. And it's just kind of a neat, fun fold. All right, I will put all those details on Facebook. If you are not on Facebook, it doesn't mean that you can't participate. You can always email me at createwithsarahllc@gmail. You can email me a picture of your card, and I will also get it in the drawing for you. I will post it for you on Facebook. Okay, so like I mentioned last week, if you were watching last week, I did a class with the Wildflower Birthday, and it's that it has like these cutout things. It has paper that has the gold fleck in it. It has this pretty checked. And anytime I do a class, I just realized I did not get the stamps out for this. So I'm going to have to quickly grab the stamps when I get to that point. But I was like, what can I do for birthdays for a little gift? You know, because I always like to give anyone who purchases my kits, get some sort of a little homemade gift that goes with it. So I know that the kids bring these to school sometimes for their birthdays, and they're little Debbies, and they're little, let's see if I can get one out without breaking it. They're little decorated birthday cakes. Okay, so I found online, and I can't even remember the demonstrator who did it because I had all my dimensions written down, so I didn't have to go back and look at it now. But she made a little box that fit one of these little cakes. And so I thought, well, that's going to be perfect for this bundle or this suite of products, this kit, this to-go kit for my gift because everything is birthday related, right? So let me get my dimensions so I can show you the dimensions for this box. So you're going to need a piece that's 8 by 5.5. So basically all I did was I took my 8.5 and I cut a 1/2 inch off. Okay, I just went over here and did, and I already did that. So I'm not going to do that again. Okay, on my 8-inch side, I am going to score at a 1/2 inch and 2 inches from both ends. No, I take that back. On the 8-inch side, I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch, and I like to do that by lining it up here because I can keep the along the top here. I have more space to make sure that I'm keeping my piece straight. So I'm going to score. Let me get my scoring blade at a 1/2. And I'm going to go to 2 inches. And then 3 inches. I'm just looking. I think I did this wrong. 3 inches. That was supposed to be on the 5.5 inch side. Let me think here. Let me look here. Yes, that was supposed to be on the 5.5 inch side. Let me look. Here, I've got my dimensions right sitting right here. Let me look at it. Oh, that's not even close. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm jumping ahead here. So let me grab another piece. Good that I made this mistake because then you can see what I'm talking about here. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me get another piece of cardstock. We'll start again. And let me read my whole directions that I have on there. So I'm going to cut this at 5.5. And I'm going to cut, it really is not this difficult. So I just wasn't reading that right. Okay, so then I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch so that it's 8 inches by 5.5. Okay, I'm going to score at a 1/2 and 1.5 from each end of the 8-inch side. So I'm going to go to a 1/2 and 1.5. Is that right? 1.5, a 1/2, and 1.5 from each end. So I'm going to go to a 1/2 here and 1.5. Okay, then on my 5.5 inch side, I'm going to score at a half, and then 2 and 3 and 4.5. Okay, that looks right. Okay, so we got all of those score lines. All right, then I'll show you how to cut this. But then our pieces of designer paper that we're going to be using to add to this, I have 2 of them right here that measure 1 3/8 inches wide by 4 7/8. I have 2 of them that measure 7/8 of an inch wide by 4 7/8. And then I'm going to use this other side. These measure 2 of them, 1 3/8 by 7/8. Okay, so that's all you need for the designer paper. Okay, let's look at cutting this. So notice that, let me fold these because you'll be able to see them a little bit better. I won't burnish them really good yet. I'll do that after we do our cutting. But I'm going to just fold on these score lines because I think it'll make it easier for you to see them when I'm talking about them. Okay, so notice how we have one side has a 1/2 inch. This is where we're going to glue. And this is a little bit wider. So we're going to have our 1/2 inch side on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to have this on the bottom, and that's what I'm going to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut in at kind of like an angle to cut so that this is going to be the flap that goes in. The reason I cut it at an angle instead of cutting it straight, it makes sure that I don't have too much paper right where things intersect. And then I'm going to cut down to the next score line and cut this whole section right here off. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I cut on an angle on that 1/2 inch up to the score line, and then I'm going to go down to one more score line and I'm going to cut this off. All right, then what I need to do is I'm going to cut up each of these sides here. I'm going to cut up on that score line, and I'm going to cut up on this score line to that second score line, cut up to the second score line, and cut up to the second score line. Okay, so I'm making like these little tabs kind of. All right, this first one and this third one, or first one and third one, however you look at it, I'm going to cut so that the tab is about half the size. Do the same thing on the other side. Cut each one at each end so that it's about half the size. Super easy. And then I'm going to, again, I think when Julie DiMatteo does all of her stuff, she calls it a little miter cut. You know how when you make like a miter cut when you're using a saw, with your miter saw, I guess. I don't know. So it's just cutting that a little bit. And then to make this is going to like tuck in my box. Let me show you what a finished one looks like so you can understand. So one end opens. I got to figure out which end I have opening and which one I have glued shut. This one I think opens. Okay, so this tucks in here so that you don't have as much paper here. I just cut that on an angle a little bit so it tucks a little bit easier. So I'm just going to cut it on an angle to the score line. And the only bad thing about making these boxes is that you end up with a lot of these little scraps. So if you do it while you're sitting and watching TV, like I tend to do, you get them all over your living room. It's like, I got scraps everywhere. All right. Now, before I put my box together, I like to put my designer paper on. It's a little bit easier to do that. And honestly, with doing these 3D items, I like to use liquid glue because sometimes if you don't have tape in a certain area, what can happen is the the paper can start, the designer paper can start to like come loose in that area, or kind of like buckle in that area if what you're filling inside of it is just a little bit bigger than what you have room for. This one happens to fit pretty perfectly in there. It was like she made it just for that. And I wish I could give her credit. And I don't know if she designed it or if somebody else did and she took it from them. I don't know, but I found it online when I was looking for, all I did was do a search that said, I put in Stampin' Up! And I put Little Debbie birthday cakes. And I found it. So I knew I had seen something several years ago, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can find this or not. I know it exists somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. And I did. All right, so I'm putting those in there, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. I decided to do all of the same. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut it so that these all like matched up going around. I didn't do that. I just cut whatever I had for kind of scraps sitting around. Hi, Karen. See if I have any other questions. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for sharing and liking. Hello, Carol. Wandering Creativity. Thank you for joining me. All right. All right. So I have all of those pieces on. And I probably should have burnished this before I put those on, but I'm just going to, instead of using my bone folder, I'm just going to use my fingers and try to do a really, really good job. They actually are burnished pretty well. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to fold over on the second score line. You're going to fold that over. You could use tear and tape if you wanted to. I'm going to just use liquid glue, and I'm just going to hold it till it dries. The advantage of using tear and tape is that it dries immediately. And now if you just fold this on this fold line, they will match up exactly where they're supposed to. Okay, and I'm just going to give that a little bit of time to dry. Okay, I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to go ahead and put these things. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to use regular. That's going to be my top cover and my bottom. And now you can decide. I glued one side shut and only had one side open. And I couldn't tell on this one which one was the glued side and which side was the open side because I hadn't decorated it yet. But when you decorate it, you would put it so that your open side is up so that they would know that's the open side. So the way these close is you just put those in, and this just closes just like that. And same thing here, that just tucks right in there. So you have your little box. Okay, and your cake goes right in there. Now, if you want to glue them shut, what you would do is just put a little bit of glue here and on this little tab, and you would shut it. And then I usually take my bone folder, and from the other end, I didn't put any glue on here, but I would just stick this in here, and I would press my bone folder down like that just to make that stick. I'm going to just leave it open because it's pretty tight. All right, then I'm going to take one of those little cakes. And we're going to stick it right inside of there. Go ahead and close it. And there's our little box. Now that one must have more plastic on it than the last one that I had, because look at how flat this is, and I've got one in there. This one is bulging just a little. Let's see if I can get the plastic a little bit better. There we go. All right, so there we go. I decided it would be fun just to put this little big floral image on there, but I also wanted to have a greeting. So let me see if I can find that stamp set very quickly. I have so many stamp sets that it might be hard for me to find it right away. Let's see if I can, it should be with my ones that I had out using. I do not see it here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. I just threw some dimensionals on the center here. Do, 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 do. Take those off. So all I did, I can explain what I did since I don't have it here, and I can show you the finished product next week. So in this stamp set with the wildflower birthdays, there's the word for, and then there's a fancy U. And what I did was I stamped the for, and I stamped the U underneath it, and I fussy cut around it and just glued that to the center of this. So it just said for you. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some ribbon. I just left it exactly like this. I didn't think that it needed to have any ribbon wrapped around it. I thought this was a really nice big image, and it was really, really easy to use. I ordered those cakes and had forgotten who demoed the box. Yes, go ahead and save it, Carol. Put it in your favorites in YouTube, and then you will always have it. All right. So that is how you make the little box to put those cakes in, and you can decorate them however you want. You can make them as simple or as hard as you want. So that right there is how I did that. For those of you that purchased my kit and got one of those and you're like, oh, I wish I had the dimensions how to make these. Now you have the dimensions on how to make one of your own. All right, let me go ahead and come back to you. Here I am. Oh, that light is so bright. All right. Thank you so much for all of you who joined me today. I enjoyed my time with you. I hope that you'll find some time to get part of the creative challenge. So make one of these fun folds that we did today and get entered into possibly winning the bundle of your choice, so that you can look at some of the new product. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek for those of you that haven't seen it. This is what I think I'm going to be using for next Saturday, because it is by far my favorite in the new online exclusives that are starting on March 4th. Look at this paper. I should actually flip my camera so you can see it. Let me do that. I wasn't thinking. The lighting's better. Ooh, look at that. It looks kind of like a burlap. Look at that. I just think this is one of my favorites here. And you get 3 pieces of each. Isn't that cool? It looks like a little wicker basket almost. And then that looks like a rug that I had at one point, like a jute rug or whatever. And look at this. Isn't that pretty? And then this looks like linen. You could stamp right on that. And then we have this. This looks kind of like the bottom of a basket. And then look at that side. I cannot wait to share a product with this. And the dies that come with it are rectangles, and they have really unique stitched ends, kind of like the Spotlight on Nature circles. Think of that, but think rectangles instead of circles. So cool. Looks really cool with the texture. So thank you guys so much. That's just a little sneak peek of what's coming next week. I will be live again next week at 8:30. Yes, 8:30. Then I have my team meeting after that. And my mom and dad are going off to Florida, but I'm going to invade their house with my team because their basement is bigger than my kitchen is. So we can go down in the basement. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you will find time to participate in my creative challenge, and I will see you again next Saturday. Bye-bye.